the SM Media Podcast Network.
Hi folks, and welcome to the latest episode of the SM Media Scottish Women's Football Show. I'm Scott McPike. It is always a pleasure to be your host, and it is always a delight to be joined by Lauren McCulloch.
Good to be back.
Always good to be back, always good to have you on and talking about the women's game. Quite a pivotal weekend, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot kind of went on, so we'll keep us busy.
It will keep us busy, but we'll start with the news that has been 110 days in the making. The Scotland women's team have announced a new manager, a new head coach, and as Melissa Andreatta was announced on basically the day after we recorded. We had bad timing last week because we were like right in the middle of the game, and then there wasn't any news about this, nothing at all. I didn't. You usually hear something about maybe an appointment coming or something like that. There was nothing regarding this at all. And Australian coach Melissa Andreatta has been named as the new head coach of the Scotland women's national team. She will take over for the matches in May. So I don't know a lot about her. I've done a bit of reading. You have as well, but we're basically just going on information from other parties. First of all, the appointment, were you surprised that's the road Scotland went down?
Yeah, I think so. It really did come out of the blue because I think we were all kind of looking closer to home for potential appointments. Just with obviously the way that Pedro's reign has gone, I think everybody kind of thought maybe a Grant Scott, Leanne Ross, Brian Graham.
Yeah.
My first initial thought was maybe they were approached and said no, so they had to look further afield. Because it genuinely did come out of the blue. I mean, I don't think a lot of people had heard of her until the appointment got announced.
Just a wee bit of kind of news here, just about her. Stint at Brisbane Roar as a coach, obviously had experience as Australia's assistant manager. Again, a big gamble. I think any appointment's a gamble, particularly obviously with the national team success over the past few years, or a lack thereof, shall we say. Like, fingers crossed she gets it right. I think it is certainly ambitious. I think it's obviously an interesting thing that Michael McArdle is going back to his previous role as being the kind of manager of the elite performance, which I think again has probably always been the plan. But it's certainly one that caught us off guard, and one that I think the microscope about pretty early. Just obviously a wee bit of a buzz will be big at the moment because, as you say, Pedro's run didn't go the way we thought. This is maybe a similar path in terms of looking out with, which I think is, I don't think there's anything wrong with it if you pick the right one. We've seen it with England. I mean, it happens. It can go right. It can go wrong. I do hope we get a bit more information. I'm looking forward to kind of finding out a bit more about her and how she comes across, particularly with the media. I think I'm quite excited about it, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think there is a lot to be excited about. I think it is far left field as it kind of is. Obviously, a lot isn't known about her. So it is kind of a surprise package, but I think it's one that maybe Scotland needs in terms of a wee rejig, something new, some fresh ideas. Obviously, she's coming in with a clean slate. You know, she probably doesn't know a lot of the players. Um, Obviously, with the kind of Spanish tie that Pedro had, he obviously had ties with the Celtic manager and stuff like that at the time. So yeah, I think it's good to kind of have a clean slate, see what our first squad looks like, and see if she can get a system that fits and gets everybody working together.
The big thing is obviously trying to gel the talent that we have, the likes of like Caroline Weir and Erin Cuthbert, two pretty much world class players, with a lot of young players coming through who do have the potential to get there, but it's trying to fit them all in, trying to get a system that fits everybody. We saw the last games against Germany. I think the big issue was the system. I think trying to get like Kirsty McLean, like Emma Watson, try to get all those back into the fold as well is important. I think it is going to be very, very big to see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely. I think the big thing is getting a system that suits the players and not trying to shoehorn people into a forced system in a sense. I think you'll find that she'll probably want that settled quite quickly,
Mhm.
just for how kind of jumpy it has been the last few months with the national team. So yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes, and it won't be long until we see.
Yep, she will be taking over in May. Very likely that we do get some World Cup, Women's World Cup on our doorstep with the 2035 bid obviously being announced. It's likely going to be played in Scotland, 48 teams as well. I hope and pray we get in
Yeah,
automatically. But how good would that be as well? Like Hampden will be used, Murrayfield's going to be used as well. That's another big kind of step for the women's game if we get a World Cup on our doorstep.
yeah, definitely. I think you obviously seen the Euros, the England one, and how much of a boost that kind of gave the country. In a sense, down there, they really ramped up their growth of the game, and you've seen how successful it is. The Lionesses are now kind of world renowned names in the women's game. So I think hosting obviously the World Cup in Scotland is only a good thing. And fingers crossed we do get there and qualify, so that it does kind of give us that kind of same boost and the same buzz about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move into the action over the weekend. Massive, massive weekend in terms of the direction of the title. Sunday was quite a busy day, like with the Masters for the golf as well. Just a lot happened. So I'm not gonna lie, the women's game got a wee bit lost in the shuffle. I managed to catch some of it. I catch the kind of tail end of the Rangers Celtic game. I managed to watch back some of the kind of highlights of other games as well. Massive weekend for the direction. Rangers Celtic, if there was a game in the world, I think I predicted it to be a draw. I can't quite
I
remember.
think we did.
It's just
I
seemed a
think we
draw
did.
written all over it. And like a lot was made about the refereeing performance. I didn't think from what I saw it was that bad. I don't know if you've got other thoughts on that, but Rangers took the lead through Kirsty Howitt. Celtic came back to draw 1-1 through Amy Gallagher. I've seen comments about the referee. I personally don't know what the issue is, but to me it was just a very cagey game between two sides who don't want to let each other win. That is that simple.
Yeah, I think referees are always kind of the talking points in most games. Never mind, games of kind of that stature. Obviously neither team won, so people are going to have gripes. Personally, I've not seen a lot of the game back, so I can't really make comment on his performance.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if we look at it, Rangers really had to capitalise
Yeah.
in that game just with the way other results went. And obviously they failed to do that. So yeah, it just kind of makes for an exciting closing few weeks with both teams dropping points there.
And Hearts obviously took advantage. Well, Hearts certainly didn't let Hibs take advantage of Rangers dropping points because Hibs took an early lead through Kathleen McGovern, 1-0 to Hibs after 2 minutes. And Lisa Robertson and Emma Brownlee coming back for Hearts. 2-1, obviously, at Meadowbank. Hearts out the title race, essentially, but can certainly look to have played quite a pivotal role in it, certainly at this point, because that will feel like a massive letdown for Hibs.
Yeah, 100%. I think we said that like as much as Hearts are out of the title race, they will want to affect it.
Mm-hmm.
And they sure did that on Sunday. I think Hibs going ahead early. I don't think anybody's seen Hearts coming back from that. I
Yeah.
think when Hibs go ahead, they're normally quite strong, quite sturdy, able to be able to kind of hold their lead. We've seen them do it against the big three this season. So I think it's a massive result for Hearts. It also puts them level on points with Celtic now. So then Motherwell and Celtic are obviously all on the same point. So nobody wants to finish bottom of the bottom six. So that's also an exciting challenge for all three teams.
And with Hibs, I mean, they have been incredible this season, the performances they've had. How important is it, though? Like, I know they go to Celtic on Wednesday night. We'll get, obviously, thoughts on that in a second. But, like, how important is it that they go there with a massive opportunity? Because obviously City playing Rangers, they'll have half an eye on that as well. Like, how important is that they do their business against Celtic and not let this result affect them?
I think that's all they can do. All they can do is kind of control their controllables. So, you've seen the heavy defeat they took to Rangers in the cup. They bounced straight back the following week against Motherwell. So they're not down and out by any stretch. They're still level on points with Glasgow City. Rangers are a point behind. But if Hibs keep winning, there's no reason why they still can't. They will be disappointed that they couldn't capitalise on Rangers dropping points, but they've shown character throughout the whole season, so there's no reason why they can't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is going to be a massive week in terms of how Hibs bounce back from that. Worthing Hearts as well. That takes them to 52 points, level with Celtic. Like they are, as we say, that it's very unlikely unless a miracle happens that Celtic or Hearts get back into the title picture. But they'll probably be playing a week in a game with themselves just to finish above each other at this point.
Yeah, I think so. And I think if you look at obviously the next set of fixtures, Celtic are playing Hibs, Hearts have got Motherwell, so Hearts will be really
Mhm.
confident there to get a result and pull themselves ahead of Celtic. So as much as they might be out of the title race, there's still a lot to play for just in terms of can they go above Celtic? Because if you were to say that to them at the start of the season, they'd have bitten your hand off.
Yeah, no, they definitely would have. Glasgow City, though, probably the winners of the weekend. They won 4-0 at home to Motherwell, doubles from Lavera and Lockwood, puts them in top on goal difference. There is obviously City in 60, Hibs in 60, Rangers in 59, so it is still a three-horse race for the title. But City will feel this weekend like this was, if they do go on and win the title, this was the pivotal one.
Yeah, they were the only team that capitalised on teams dropping points. So, but I think we know that from Glasgow City now. They don't really. I think as much as other results maybe affect other teams,
Mhm.
kind of looking elsewhere, City kind of seem to be that team that just have tunnel vision. They just kind of go and beat what's in front of them because they've got that experience. Across the whole of Scottish women's football, they have been the most successful side. So there, it's every year it's their title to lose, and that's the way they'll see it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm not surprised that they capitalised, and it does make for a tight end to the season, as it has been all season.
I'm probably gonna. Well, I imagine it will change maybe between now and maybe even next week. But at the moment, like with how many games have we got left? Five, six, seven. Who at the moment has the edge psychologically?
Psychologically, I think it's Glasgow City, just based on the fact they seem to be picking up wins when other teams maybe hit a bit of a sticky patch. A couple of weeks ago, I would have said Rangers. So it does change every week. Hibs are obviously still the underdogs. I'd really like them. I'd really like to see them go and do it. But right now, I think psychologically, City will be feeling the most confident.
Yeah, and we've got obviously pivotal games for now until the end of the season. So, like again, we're going to have twists and turns from now until the end of May. Looking at the bottom six, we'll just go there just now. Spartans again, another big result for them, winning 4-2 away to Aberdeen, puts them only a point behind Aberdeen. Big result for them just in terms of moving 8 points clear of Montrose, who obviously drew 0-0 with Queens Park. Like Spartans, that'll feel like a massive position as well. They were behind at 1-0, get it back. They were 2-2, and then obviously two goals in the second half from Bates and Rennie. And I think Spartans, again, not to kind of jump the gun too early, but very difficult to see them getting caught now for me.
Yeah, no, definitely. That's 8 points now, and I think that's a lot to claw back for Montrose. Um, I think Spartans, they've kind of been there, done that over the last few years. They know what it takes to stay in the league. They have done for many years now. It's the different kind of goal scorers as well. They seem to be
Yeah.
picking up goals from all over the park. Obviously, Olivia Chumchuk scored after just signing her professional contract with Hearts as well. So
Mm.
she'll be looking ahead to next season personally to see what she can do to get into the Hearts team. So she'll want to finish the season strongly, as will the whole team. But it's a massive win for them against Aberdeen because they all want to finish the best of the rest. And it seems to be a three-horse race for that as well.
And Montrose will feel like that's been a massive like opportunity missed, obviously drawing 0-0 at Queen's Park, but Spartans winning as well. That'll be a sucker punch to them.
Yeah, definitely. I think Montrose, they looked as if they'd maybe turned a corner and started picking up results. But I do think that was a kind of must-win game for them to kind of claw back any sort of hope.
Yeah.
I think the bottom three now, I think it's the bottom three we'll see going down into SWPL too. Not for the lack of trying, I think it's just the strength and depth of other teams is obviously managed to overcome them.
Yeah, I think it has been like the three going down as well. Like and like last season, Montrose, I think were on the same level, same number of points, and they were safe at this point. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just the way the league has worked. It'll feel like a big win for Partick Thistle as well. Like I know Dundee United, fair play to them, tried their best, but Partick Thistle again, they've maybe disappointed this season, but it's a good squad. I know there's been a bit of obviously transition with Brian going to the men's team and like it's been difficult, but the way they've managed to push on this season and they just want to finish the season as strong as possible and can I regroup for next season?
Yeah, definitely. I think they've had a lot of change, both on and off the pitch. I think if you look at the squad they've got this season compared to last, there's been quite a lot of changes. A lot more young players than probably what there has been. Maybe that lack of experience has just maybe hindered them a little bit. But that's not to say a year fighting kind of in the bottom half of the table won't do them good, and set them up well for next season because it's another year of experience under their belt. Obviously, the transition with Brian Graham, obviously moving away, he's a massive figure in that team. He's a massive personality, so it would have taken a bit of adjusting. They've done well to kind of stay away from the relegation and not to fall too far off, and that will be a massive result for them because it's kind of been a couple of weeks coming now where they've maybe not been able to get the results on the board.
Let's move into SWPL 2. Do we have a title race in our hands, or is it too late?
I don't know. I think last week we obviously said that it was kind of dead and buried, but I mean, Aki's and Kelly play each other this week, so
Mhm.
if Kelly win that, there's 2 points in it, then it's back on.
Hamilton obviously lost 2-1 at home to Boroughmuir. Boroughmuir, to be fair to them, I think have been very, very good this season. Probably too late for them at this point, but they have been very, very good the way they've went about their business. They're another team as well that have added well in the summer, brought in some good experienced players, and they're a side like you never know next season when I imagine the league's going to straighten out a wee bit. They might be able to go a step further.
Yeah, I think so. I think Borough have kind of been the thorn in Hamilton's side this season, if I'm being
I
honest.
don't think they beat them, have they?
I don't think so. I don't think so. So they seem to have their number, but I think we all seen the recruitment that they made in the
Hmm.
summer with the ex-Spartans girls coming in. That's obviously
Yeah,
boosted their experience. Becky Galbraith's just a goal scorer,
yeah.
so automatically having her in your team it's going to give you a boost. But yeah, I think next season if they can have a kind of same summer transition as they did last season, I think we will see them pushing more ahead for the title. I think they will just be looking at the what ifs, the kind of silly points have dropped across the season. But that's kind of easy fixed if they recruit again well in the summer.
Kilmarnock obviously took advantage 1-6-2 at home to St Johnstone at Rugby Park. Doubles from Burns, Gray, goals from Kearney and Robinson. Again, pivotal weekend upcoming. Hamilton go to Rugby Park on Sunday as well. Like Kilmarnock won that, it's 2 points, and you never know. Like it's on. That's the big one. That is the. It's going to be one. Like if it's either going to be won by Hamilton. Hamilton even draw, you would say it's an uphill battle for Kelly. Kelly win that though, you never know just how it can turn. The goal difference is quite big. That's the one thing I'll say. The goal difference is what, 26? Like that's like a point essentially, isn't it? Like, but you
Yeah, I
never
would
know
say
what could
so.
happen. You never know what could
Yeah,
happen.
I would say the goal difference is kind of like a point to Aki's. But again, if you look at the last kind of couple of months, the points Aki's have dropped. They got beat off with St Johnstone.
Mm-hmm.
They've also been beat off with Boroughmuir. It's it's those games that they might look back on and be like, we should have had this title dead and buried a long time ago. So it kind of puts them on their toes a little bit. Kilmarnock have just beat St Johnstone 6-2, so their confidence will be sky high going into this game. So it will be an interesting one to keep an eye on to see how that kind of unfolds. Because if Kelly do go on and win that, then it does put the nerves into Aki's, but it also just boosts Kelly even more.
Obviously, Livingston as well, 1-3-1 away at Ayr. They've been reasonably solid. Like I would imagine Livingston when they come up would want to be a wee bit higher, but the way the kind of leagues went this season, they've had a bit of transition as well with Paul leaving. Like they're a side that again have a lot of good players, a lot of good talent. They're another side maybe similar to Boroughmuir, and I'll throw Gap Cairn into this as well. St Johnstone could even be added. Like the third to fourth, they're decent sides and they're competitive and they can grow.
Yeah, I think Livingston did struggle for a wee bit when obviously Paul Gregg left.
Mm-hmm.
They were kind of flying high a little bit, and then they did hit a kind of a sticky patch. Obviously, Ayr United went 1-0 up
Mm-hmm.
against them at the weekend, but to show that character to turn it round. But I think if you look at the attacking threat that Livingston hold, there's no shortage of goals there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Livingston, if they bring in the right coaching staff, I think they could be up there next season. As with Gartcairn, they're starting to announce people who are staying for
Mm-hmm.
next season. It looks like they've kind of kept the main core of their squad. I expect to see a few additions there as well. So yeah, it will be interesting. And obviously, St Johnstone recruited well in January, which has really pulled them out of that relegation scrap. So again, if they recruit well, then there's no reason why it couldn't be even tighter in SWPL2 next season.
we mentioned obviously Rossvale drew 2-2 with Gartcairn. Ayr are in 8th as well. They lost 3-1 3-1 at Livingston. Like again, those two sides, they play each other as well. We have played Rossvale. Like, we've got two massive games in that league at different ends of the table. Ayr and Kilmarnock are at home. Like, Ayrshire double, do you think?
It could be. I mean, Rossville haven't beat Ayr this season, but obviously that's a massive point for them against Gartcairn. I think if Rossville get anything from this game at the weekend, I think you're probably looking at them in the playoff, just because I can't really see
Mm-hmm.
either side maybe picking up a lot of points between now and the end of the season, just with the way the kind of form is. But Rossville seem to have really hit a wee bit of form in terms of the way they're playing under their new manager, which is good to see. Ayr have struggled kind of all season, but they have seemed to have Rossville's number, so it will be a really good game, a really exciting game, and yeah, as you said, it could be an Ayrshire double, or it might not be and go the opposite way.
We could see. We'll check that out later on. We'll go to the SWF Championship. Obviously, Trophy Day East Fife, and they kind of won it in style. 8-0 home win over Inverness. They've obviously 3 games left. They're home and dry. Big day for the club. Obviously, getting back to SWPL 2, lifting the trophy. And they're a side that you can imagine, just with the strength and depth they've got, they can kick on next season. That they can be a competitive team in the SWPL.
Yeah, I would say so. They've done really well this season. They've been really consistent. And there is no reason why they can't go and compete in SWPL 2 next year. I think they've got a real balance of experience and youth, and that's massive. I think we see that kind of across the board. The teams where you've got that real balance, it seems to set you in good stead. So I'd imagine they'll have a few people coming in, just to bulk up the squad a little bit, because I think they were kind of riding quite light, come the end of the season. But yeah, there's no reason why they can't go up there and compete.
And the battle for second, obviously disappointing weekend for Renfrew, losing 2-1 at Glasgow girls and women. Obviously Glasgow go above now in goal difference. What kind of harm disappointing? Just a disappointing day?
Yeah, I think it was just a disappointing day all round. To be honest, we went 1-0 down really early. Got a penalty to make it one each. We missed the penalty. They obviously then make it 2-0. We kind of regrouped in the second half, and it was just a case of we couldn't take our chances. So yeah, I mean it's frustrating because we could have went into second place, but it's still really tight. Us in Glasgow are both on 44, Stirling on 46, Falkirk on 42. So it still really is anyone's game, and I don't think anyone's really down and out yet.
Nah, obviously Stirling drawing with Falkirk as well. Like Stirling, if Stirling had won that, it'd have been 4 points with 3 games left, and it is a tough ask at this point. But still, I wouldn't even rule Falkirk out of it at this point. Like,
Yeah, no, me
it's so
neither. I
tight.
think I think the only team you can maybe rule out is Inverness, but
Yeah.
there's no reason to say that they won't have a role to play, because they still to play Falkirk, they've still to play us, and I think it's East Glasgow they've still to play. I think potentially. So yeah, they'll have a big role to play, no doubt, and yeah, it just does make for an exciting end to the season, which we seem to say all the time. But every league's got its own battles.
Yeah, there's certainly stuff happening as well. Just obviously in the bottom half, Morton won 1-0 at home to Dryborough. Stenhouse-Muir, good win for them, 9-0 at home to Hutchison Vale. And fourth for Farmington, winning 4-0 at home to Westdyke. So 3 home wins at the bottom end of the table. Like, again, at that point, that is kind of just a case of kind of finishing your season strong. Good win for your old club, Stenny, though.
Yeah, 100%. I think they were very unlucky to finish in the bottom half of the table. But I think that they recruited well in January, to kind of just see the rest of the season out, and they want to finish best of the rest. Don't get me wrong; like they won't have a mentality that the season's done. But yeah, it was a massive one for them, and hopefully they can kick on next season.
Into League One, Bonnyrigg remain 1 point clear at the top of the table. They won 4-2 at home to Dunny Pace. Armadale, though, are hot in their heels. 5-2 away win at Queen of the South. Inverurie won 2-1 at home to St Mirren. Top 3 all win. Bonnyrigg and Armadale look to be on a collision course for that final day in the 17th of May at Polton Hall. And I know it's maybe disrespectful to say they are the 2 teams that they'll be playing, but you just hope both of them get there, like where they are just now, and you hope it goes to the final day, because I've been very impressed with both sides the way they've went about it this season, and fingers crossed they can give us a bit of excitement in the final day.
Yeah, definitely, and I think it's nothing less than they deserve. I think they've both shown that they can compete at a higher level. Obviously they've both done really well in the cups. knocking out championship sides. And I do think it would be more than deserved for both of them to take it to the last day, and it is really winner takes all there. So that will be really, really exciting. But as you said, I hope they can just both take it there and none of them kind of slip up before then.
Hopefully not. Just other games as well. Edinburgh Caledonia won 3-1 at home to Dundee West, and Giffnock 2-2 with Airdrie. The way obviously that's kind of working, Dundee West I think are close to. I think relegation's near enough confirmed for them. Giffnock are obviously 10 points behind Airdrie, so playoff I think we kind of know what's going to happen there. But that's kind of been the action of the weekend. But we've got a really exciting midweek to look at, and
Yeah,
we'll get our predictor up again because this week I will keep it because I keep binning stuff and forgetting to keep it and save it. But 6 pivotal games again, massive weekend. There will be a roundup on Friday on the website just with the action, and we will obviously talk about it next week on the show. We will have games after that, so we've got a double bill next weekend. But we'll start with the first one. Let's go with Hearts versus Motherwell. What's your scores thoughts there?
I think it'll be 2-0 Hearts. I think they'll be kind of flying high after their derby win.
I'm going to go, I think Hearts will win, and I think they'll win 4-0. I think Hearts will be in a high after their performance at the weekend. Glasgow City Rangers at Petershill, live on BBC Alba, so you can watch this on Wednesday. Massive game.
Yeah, it's huge for both teams for kind of similar reasons. But I think this one's similar to the Rangers Celtic game last week. I think it's got a draw written all over it. I think
Okay.
they'll kind of both cancel each other out. So I think it'll be 1-1.
I think I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers. I think Rangers could just edge it. I think it will be a good game though. Celtic versus Hibs. You see Hibs bouncing back?
I think they will, but I think it'll be tight. So I think it'll be 2-1 to Hibs.
Okay. I think Celtic are going to win 2-1. I can just see Celtic having a bit of a role to play and unwittingly helping out their rivals. Let's go to bottom 6, Montrose Aberdeen. You'd imagine if Montrose are going to have any chance of staying up, they need to win this one.
Yeah, I think so. But I think as well, I can't really see past Aberdeen, and I think they'll want to bounce back as well after getting beat off Spartans. So I think they'll win 2-0.
2-0 Aberdeen for Lauren. I think I'm going to give it to Montrose. I think I'm going to go 1-0. I think Montrose could win it. We're very different this week, actually. I think the only one we agree on so far is Hearts. We're going to keep that. We'll go to Spartans Dundee United.
I think Spartans will win quite comfortably. I think it'll be 3-0.
Yeah, I'm going to go for 2-0 Spartans. I think Spartans will beat Dundee United. And Queen's Park and Partick.
I think it will be. I think 3-1 Partick. I
Okay.
think they'll want to finish strong.
I'm going to go for 3-0 Partick Thistle. But we've got a massive weekend, midweek ahead. Obviously, weekend after that as well. Not to ignore this. Hearts play Glasgow City, Hibs play Rangers. So we're going to be busy next week with games to talk about. Lauren, always a pleasure. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me. See you next week.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for everyone that tuned in, folks. Subscribe to our YouTube, podcast, and Patreon for more women's football coverage. I will see you all next week to dissect the action. Thank you very much.